I just transmigrated as the son of the town guarding general. Then I received an imperial decree from the old emperor, ordering me to lead 300 men to attack a 100,000 strong enemy camp. But I'm not Zhao Zilong. How is this any different from suicide? The eunuch delivering the decree saw my father not resist, and even armor me for battle. He looked smug. But no one expected. I let out a furious roar, and tore the imperial decree to shreds. Then with one more slash, I sent that dog eunuch to meet his ancestors. I sheathed my blade and smirked at my father. The old emperor is telling us, it's time to raise an army. The eunuch's body thudded to the ground. Warm blood splattered all over my father, Shenwei's face. He stood frozen stiff. The scene was dead silent. You unfilial brat. Do you want the Shen family in the capital wiped out? My father finally snapped out of it. He roared, and grabbed my collar tightly. The guards outside the tent heard the commotion, and all rushed in. Seeing this sight, they all stood frozen. The tension instantly tightened, but I showed no fear. I slammed the torn decree hard on the table. Dad, do you think if I go to die, the family in the capital will be safe, and the Shen family will survive? My father trembled with rage. If the ruler wants a subject dead, then the subject must die. That's a subject's duty. Duty my ass. I'm telling you, even if I go, the Shen family will be framed with all sorts of charges later. Even if I charge into the camp now, they'll say I was colluding with the enemy all along. Treason and betrayal. Then the old emperor will find an excuse to cut off supplies, claiming the Shen family raised private troops, intent to rebel. Every point I make, Father Shenwei's face pales more. These are the things he's most cautious about, the things he avoids most. But I didn't stop. I kept going, and uncle and second uncle will be jailed for false military corruption. Their whole family exiled 3,000 li, dying on the road. If we don't resist, no one in the Shen family survives. Father's hand holding the sword starts shaking violently. He looks at me like I'm a monster. After all, just yesterday, I was still his obedient son. I ignored his terror. I turned and pointed at the eunuch's corpse. If you don't believe me, check the hidden pouch at his waist. There's a second secret decree inside. That letter has only one order. After I die, immediately fabricate evidence of the Shen army's treason. My dad's trusted deputy, Zhang Bo, hesitantly steps forward. He reaches into the eunuch's body to search. Sure enough, he pulls out a wax-sealed secret letter. Opening it, Zhang Bo's face instantly loses all color. He hands the decree to my dad, trembling. All the generals in the tent gather around. After reading the decree, everyone gasps in SOC, because its contents meant exactly what I said. My dad, Shenwei, drops his long sword to the ground. He seems drained of all strength. He collapses into his seat with a thud. I walk over and help him up. My tone is cold, without any warmth. Dad, now we only have one path. Raise the army. My dad is completely lost. Like a puppet, I guide him to the commander's seat. I have no time to comfort him. I immediately order a deputy general. Summon all officers above captain. Come to the command tent immediately for a meeting. Soon, a dozen corps generals crowd the tent. They look at the corpse on the ground, and the disheartened grand general, his face full of SOC and doubt. Everyone present here has followed my Shen family army for years. I directly made that secret order public. Now the old emperor is determined to kill us. If we don't rise up, we're just waiting to die. The generals were in an uproar. Most were like my dad, stunned and helpless by the sudden change. An old general named Wang Zhong was my dad's loyalist. He stepped forward, cupped his fists, and said, "Young general, if this matter is true, we will definitely follow the grand general. But if there's a way out, we still have wives and children in the capital." I looked at him, and spoke calmly. "General Wang, are your wife and kids in the capital well lately?" "Young general, why do you say that? Yesterday, your wife took your son and daughter to the temple to burn incense. On the way back, they were already caught by the Imperial Guard and thrown into the prison. Barring any surprises, after they're done with my Shen family, your family will also be wiped out cleanly." I stated clearly the tragedy that befell his family in my past life. Wang Zhong's face instantly turned pale with fear. How do you know?" "I not only know, I can also save them." I looked around at everyone. "Your family's in the capital. Aren't they all hostages in the emperor's hands? You think if the Shen family falls, you'll survive?" That sentence shattered everyone's false hope. I didn't waste more words. My gaze turned to an inconspicuous corner of the tent. "Where is Li Hu?" As soon as I spoke, a burly man with a full beard suddenly looked up and stepped forward. "Your subordinate is here. He was a centurion under my command. In my past life, among those 300 personal guards, only he fought with me until the very end. From today onward, you are the vanguard commander." Li Hu's eyes blazed with incredible light. He knelt on one knee. "I will die for the young general." I looked at the others. My voice suddenly turned cold. "Pass my order. Immediately seal off all roads out of the camp. Not even a bird may fly out. Uncle Zhang, take your men. Clean out the overseers and all the emperor's spies in the army. Here is the list. I slapped a sheet of paper on the table. It was densely packed with over 30 names. These people, in my past life, after my death, jumped out to accuse my dad. Uncle Zhang picked up the list. His hands were shaking. Every person on this list was perfectly disguised. Some were even his comrades of many years. Tonight, not one name on this list stays alive. Uncle Zhang accepted the order. Begin the operation. The bloody night began. My dad sat in the commander's seat, watching me issue orders one by one, watching the guards swing their blades. His eyes went from SOC to unfamiliarity, finally turning into a deep fear. In the dead of night, the commander's tent fell silent. Only the thick, unyielding smell of blood remained. My dad finally spoke. His voice was hoarse. Here, how did you become like this? I was wiping the blood off my blade. Hearing this, I didn't look up. I had to become someone who can keep the Shin family alive. I finished wiping the blade, walked up to him, placed a written military report before him. It read, Grand General Shinwei, distressed by state affairs, overworked and fell ill, died suddenly in the camp at the hour of Mao today. My dad looked at that report. His pupils shrank sharply. I looked at him calmly. From today onward, the Grand General is dead. I, Shinhe, am the new commander of the Shin family army. The capital soon received the military report of my father's sudden death. The old emperor was overjoyed. He hypocritically posthumously titled my father as loyal and brave king. He also issued an edict ordering me to inherit my father's will, lead the army out, avenge my father. At the same time, he sent his trusted censor Zhou Kong to offer condolences and oversee the army. I know this is the old emperor's delaying tactic. He wants to stabilize me first. Once everything in the capital is ready, he will not hesitate to strike at our Shin family army. Time is running out. I must, before he makes a move, find a powerful ally. I called Li Hu into the tent. Pack up that eunuch's head. Where are you sending it, young general? I pointed north, toward the Beimang camp opposite. Seeing this, Li Hu was greatly alarmed. Sending it to them. Isn't that debt? To meet their commander, Hu Yanlai. In my past life, I led 300 men into the Beimang camp. When I was captured, exhausted, it was that Beimang commander named Hu Yanlai who respected me as a real man and gave me a quick death. To cooperate with Hu Yanlai, I also gave Li Hu a letter. The letter had only one phrase, birds are gone. Bao is hidden. When lips are gone, teeth feel cold. After my father learned of my plan, he stormed into my command tent, shaking with rage. You're crazy. Absolutely crazy. He pointed at my nose and scolded. Seeking a tiger's skin, inviting a wolf into the house. You'll ruin the Shin family army. Ruin everyone. I looked at him, and just sneered coldly. Dad, you keep saying the ruler wants to destroy our whole family. The country you never forget sees us as pawns. If not seeking a tiger's skin, are we just waiting to be executed by your emperor? That's not destroying us. I'm finding a way out for all of us. My dad was so stunned he couldn't say a word. He slumped down in defeat. 3 days later, the Beimang camp sent an envoy. To my surprise, the envoy wasn't some burly man. It was a woman. A woman in fiery red attire, with a nimble figure, and eyes sharp as an eagle's. Her name was Hu Yan Duo. She was Hu Yanlai's only daughter, known as the Prairie Eagle. She entered my command tent with a dozen guards. Her hostility and scrutiny were undisguised. Her voice was clear and crisp, carrying the grit of the prairie wind. Are you Shinhe? I am. I didn't waste words. I laid my cards on the table. I need allies. My father is dead. The Shin family army answers to me now. Hu Yan Duo raised an eyebrow, sizing me up. Me? Why should I trust you? This could be a trick from you southerners. Because of this, I spread a map on the table. This is the defense map of Eagle Sorrow Pass, which you failed to take. At this spot on the map, every midnight, there's a 1 incense stick gap in the guard rotation. Hu Yan Duo's pupils contracted sharply. Eagle Sorrow Pass was the biggest obstacle for Great Yan's attack on the prairie. It was taken by Great Yan back then, and they failed to reclaim it all these years. Great Yan's army directly threatens the prairie, keeping them in constant unease. They can only garrison troops at Duwu, while the people suffer terribly. Now, this map's value was immeasurable. Such a precious gift. What's your condition? She took the bait, just as I expected. I pointed to another area on the map. Help me take the 3 prefectures of Yu and Yun as our base to seize power in the south. Once I attack the capital, I'll give the grasslands a century of peace. Hu Yan Duo stared at me intently, as if trying to see a hint of deceit on my face. But my face showed only calm. She let out a cold laugh. A century of peace? That's quite a boast. Aren't you afraid we'll take your benefits and then sell you out? You won't. Because you know, the Great Yan Emperor's next target is you. Without my Shin family army holding the front, your good days are over. When the birds are gone, the bao is hidden. If the lips are gone, the teeth will be cold. I repeated that line from the letter. Hu Yan Duo fell silent. Hu Yan Duo left with my terms. I knew Hu Yanlai would agree. because he had no choice. A few days later, the court's supervising censor, Jokang, arrived at the camp with a large batch of rewards. I set up a mourning hall, wearing mourning clothes and hemp. I wept bitterly before my father's coffin. I beat my chest and stomped my feet, swearing to flatten Beimang and avenge my father. Jokang watched me, this grief-stricken filial son, and nodded with satisfaction. He patted my shoulder, comforting me that the court was my strongest support. I sneered inwardly, but on the surface, I looked grateful and tearful. Jokang had just left with my letter of loyalty, satisfied and content, when I immediately took off my mourning clothes and found Huyen Duo waiting outside the camp. Time to put on an act. Huyen Duo watched my face change so quickly, a strange glint flashing in her eyes. You're so hypocritical. To survive, sometimes you need to be a little hypocritical. The next day, I personally led the troops out, and with Huyen Duo's Beimang army, we clashed in a skirmish on the border. My army was soundly defeated, throwing away armor and fleeing. In a miserable state, a large amount of supplies and baggage was captured by the Beimang army. Actually, those supplies were originally excess baggage in the army, already somewhat moldy. I took the chance to gift them to our new ally. News of the defeat quickly reached the capital. The old emperor heard I lost the battle, suffering heavy casualties. His heart was overjoyed. In his eyes, without my dad's Shin family army, they're just a ragtag bunch. This brat of mine is nothing to fear. He completely let his guard down. I finally gained a precious moment to catch my breath. I began to overhaul and reorganize the army, removing the old, weak, and those with weak resolve. All of them. At the same time, I also faced a huge problem. The army. Raising troops costs money. Though my dad was the nation's general, he was honest and upright, had hardly any savings. Late at night, I sat alone in the tent, worrying over the Otsal books. Then my dad walked in. After the SOC of this period, he seemed to have aged 10 years, but his eyes were no longer lost. He looked at the Otsal book on my table, asked if we were short on money. I nodded. He was silent for a moment, then said, "Our Shin family has let the soldiers down." I looked at him, suddenly smiled. I pulled a yellowed map from my bosom, spread it before him. "Dad, look what this is." He leaned in curiously, took just one look, and was struck as if by lightning. This is the terrain map of Black Wind Mountain. How do you have this?" The map clearly marked the location of a mine, a secret gold mine enough to support 100,000 troops for several years' expenses. This is his deepest secret. He thought if the uprising failed, it would be my last safeguard. Even Zhang Bo didn't know. He stared at me, his voice trembling. What else do you know?" I put away the map, smiling mysteriously. "I also know how we'll win this realm." News from the capital still arrived. The old emperor's crime of colluding with foreign enemies and losing the border sent all 173 collateral relatives of my Shin family in the capital straight to the Imperial prison. The news was sent out at the cost of his life by one of Zhang Bo's old subordinates. The letter said they were tortured day and night in prison. A horrific sight. My dad read the letter, his eyes bloodshot, nearly splitting with rage. He rushed at me, grabbed my collar, and roared, "Counterattack! Attack the capital now! Call them out!" This was the first time he'd actively demanded I rebel. His last illusions about the emperor were completely extinguished by the blood of his kin. I pried his hands off, my tone calm. "A counterattack now is suicide." "Then what do we do? Just watch them be tortured to death?" "The time isn't right. We need to wait a few more days." I pushed him into a chair. "I'll handle the capital." I wrote a secret letter. It wasn't sent to any minister at court, but to the most unlikely person. Third Prince Li Yen. In my past life, after the old emperor died, the crown prince and second prince fought to the death. But in the end, this constantly suppressed, seemingly aloof third prince ascended the throne. This man is deeply calculating, having endured for years. He's a truly ruthless player. My letter, along with another grand gift, was delivered to his mansion through secret channels. That big gift was evidence of the crown prince's affair with the emperor's favorite concubine, a sappy lop letter, and an embroidered handkerchief with mandarin ducks. These were the crimes exposed. When the crown prince fell in my past life, the capital was instantly thrown into chaos. The old emperor flew into a rage and deposed the crown prince on the spot, imprisoning him in the clan court. The empress's clan was implicated and uprooted completely. Everyone in the court feared for their lives. The old emperor was overwhelmed by this scandal and had no time to bother with me, this stray dog far away at the border. When Huyen Duo learned of this, the look in her eyes toward me changed completely. She had some admiration and some curiosity. "I thought you only knew how to fight. I didn't expect your skill at manipulating people to be better than those old foxes in court." No choice, I was forced into it. She didn't say anything else, but when discussing military matters with me, her attitude shifted from an equal ally to gradually taking on a subordinate tone. She began to truly see me as a partner for great plans. My dad watched the chaos from the capital, watched the crown prince get deposed, and the empress's clan fall. He finally understood what I meant when I said I know how to win. He was silent for a long time. Then from his chest, he solemnly took out the commander's seal representing supreme authority over the Shin army. He placed the seal before me. From now on, I am just an old general under your command. He knelt on one knee before me, awaiting the commander's orders. I helped him up. At that moment, father and son completely reversed their roles. The chaos in the capital was our perfect chance. I made an agreement with Hu Yanlai to officially take Yuzhou. Yuzhou is a dagger thrust into the heart of Dian. Capture him. We firmly established ourselves at the border. We can attack or defend as needed. The Yuzhou commander is named Qin Jing. He's a die-hard loyalist to the old emperor, stubborn and unyielding. A direct assault would cause heavy losses. I chose to use a strategy. I had my men spread rumors inside and outside Yuzhou city, widely and loudly. Have you heard? The Shin family army has already negotiated with the Beimeng people. They're going to open the gates and welcome the enemy. That kid Shinhe, to get revenge, is going to sell our Yuzhou to the barbarians. The court is in complete chaos now. The crown prince has even been deposed. How can they care about our border's fate? The rumors are detailed and convincing. The people and soldiers in Yuzhou are panicked. Dissatisfaction with the court and resentment toward Commander Qinjing are growing daily. At this time, through the third prince's connections in the capital, I contacted Yuzhou's deputy general, Wu Qian. Wu Qian is capable and ambitious, but has always been suppressed by Qinjing. I only sent him one phrase: princes, generals, and ministers. Are they born to their station? Wu Qian rebelled that very night. The next night, my father personally led an elite squad to the foot of Yuzhou city. At that moment, the south gate of Yuzhou quietly opened. Wu Qian personally led men to welcome my father into the city. Xinwei, you traitorous rebel. In one night, we captured Yuzhou city without shedding a drop of blood. Hu Yanlai's army arrived at the city gates the next day. They nominally occupied Yuzhou, but in reality, they formed a pincer formation with our forces. The first thing I did was open Yuzhou's treasury. I distributed half the wealth to the city's people, opened the granaries to distribute grain, and calmed the people's hearts. The people of Yuzhou went from initial fear to gratitude, then to support. I quickly won over the people's loyalty. The foundation is now stable. Under the banner of purging the court of evil and pleading for the world's sake to eliminate traitors, an official announcement was issued to the world. The world was shaken. The old emperor in the capital received the report of Yozhou's fall. He was so furious he spat blood on the spot. He finally realized that this little wolf cub he never took seriously was his greatest threat. He decreed the appointment of the Great Yan's top general, Zhao Wuji, as Grand Marshal of the army. He led 300,000 troops from the capital to suppress the rebellion. A decisive battle for survival was approaching. The name Zhao Wuji weighed like a mountain on everyone's hearts. He was a true legendary general, a master of military strategy, steady and methodical, never defeated. In my past life, even my dad Shenwei often lost to him. Fighting him head-on would be like throwing eggs at a rock. I locked myself in the command tent for 3 days and nights, simulating every possibility on the map. My dad tried to come in several times, but I turned him away each time. On the 4th day, I walked out of the tent, my eyes bloodshot, but my spirit was unusually high. I set my sights on Zhao Wuji's supply line. Before an army moves, supplies come first. With 300,000 men and horses to feed, the daily cost was astronomical. His supply line was his lifeline. Using my past life memories, I knew clearly that in 3 months, the lower Yellow River would see a once-in-a-century flood, and Zhao Wuji's supply convoy had to pass through the key ferry, Beima Ferry, on the lower river. The plan took shape in my mind. I had Hu Yan Duo lead his grassland light cavalry, breaking into small groups to constantly harass Zhao Wuji's vanguard, not to kill, just to slow down his march. On the other side, I sent Li Hu with the elite engineers, disguised as refugees, secretly to several critical low dams upstream of Beima Ferry. Their mission was to leave gaps for explosives in those inconspicuous spots. After my dad learned about my plan, his face turned pale. He rushed into my tent, his voice trembling. Are you crazy? Blowing up the dam? What about the tens of thousands of civilians in the city? They'll all drown. I looked at him, my tone icy cold without a trace of emotion. Dad, kindness doesn't command an army. If we don't do this, our 100,000 soldiers will die, along with the people of Yuzhou who follow us. My dad stared at me, as if he didn't recognize me. His lips quivered, but in the end, he said nothing. He just backed out, his face full of sorrow. A month later, Hu Yan Duo's harassment trapped Zhao Wuji's main force in an encirclement. When the news came, I was running simulations on the sand table. Without any hesitation, I immediately mustered 3,000 personal guards and led them personally to the rescue. When I arrived, Hu Yan Duo was surrounded in a valley. Shen He, Why did you come to save me? Why? Because you're mine. That night, he personally applied medicine and bandaged me. He looked at the wound on my shoulder and whispered, "You're really a madman." Hurts now, doesn't it? Zhao Wuji's army was bogged down on the mountain road by Huyen Duo's harassment and the endless autumn rain. When will this damn weather end? Delayed by a month. A major taboo in warfare. And at this time, upstream of the Yellow River, enough water had accumulated to destroy everything. The time has come. I gave the final order. After half a month of heavy rain, the massive wave arrived. The millennium-old dragon broke free from its chains. The massive flood surged with thunderous force, racing downstream at breakneck speed. Beima Ferry, Zhao Wuji's grain camp and tens of thousands of reserves were completely swallowed by the flood from the sky in their sleep. 300,000 troops, overnight, lost their food supply. The news reached Zhao Wuji's central command tent. This famed general, undefeated his whole life, spit out a mouthful of blood on the spot. The army's morale collapsed. Have you heard? It's General Shin's spirit showing itself. The emperor is unjust, so heaven sent this great flood. Meanwhile, I dispatched my prepared troops, carrying plenty of grain to rescue the disaster victims, gathering the refugees. Those desperate victims, seeing our army bearing the Shin banner, saw us as their savior. Public support shifted further toward me. Zhao Wuji was trapped in a dead end. He was forced to order a retreat, but it was too late. My army, Huyen Lai's, and my father's 3 forces had already formed an encirclement. His starving remnant troops, barely able to lift their swords, were tightly trapped in a muddy lowland. Zhao Wuji sent an envoy, willing to offer the half-tiger tally given by the emperor before the campaign, representing military command, begging me to spare him and his surviving soldiers. I knew this was his delaying tactic. In my past life, he used this trick to deceive a powerful rebel king, then struck back. I played along with his scheme, agreed wholeheartedly. At the agreed surrender ceremony, Zhao Wuji, with his hundreds of generals, came before my battle lines, ready to present the tiger tally. His face showed humiliation, but his eyes hid a barely noticeable cunning. I took the tiger tally, verified its authenticity. Then I smiled. General Zhao, your plan is clever. Zhao Wuji's face changed. What do you mean? I raised my hand and swung it down sharply. 10,000 arrows flew. The archers hidden all around instantly turned Zhao Wuji and his generals into pincushions. Lu. Zhao Wuji died with his eyes open. His eyes were full of disbelief. 300,000 troops vanished into smoke. The court's main force was annihilated. The capital's gates were wide open. No force in the north could stop us now. Third Prince Li Yan spread rumors in the capital that the emperor lost virtue. Heaven sent divine punishment and caused the army's destruction. The court was in turmoil. People were panicked. I led 100,000 elite troops to the city gates. My dad wore heavy armor, riding a warhorse beside me. He looked at the towering capital walls, at the land he once protected with his life, and felt a mix of emotions. Before the army could form ranks, Deshing Gate, one of the capital's 9 gates, slowly opened. Above the gate, the flag of my Shin family army was raised. Wang Zhang, the 9 gates commander, was my dad's old subordinate. I had already turned him. I didn't hesitate at all. I took the lead and led the army into the city. The people hid behind doors and windows, watching this fierce army in terror. I didn't go to the palace. I turned my horse around and headed straight for the Imperial prison, that darkest, filthiest place in the capital. The prison guards had already fled at the sight. I kicked open that heavy door. A strong smell of blood and rot hit me. I ordered men with torches to search cell by cell. Finally, in the deepest water dungeon, I found them. My Shin family's kin. They were tortured beyond recognition, covered in wounds, barely alive. My aunt, the woman who once outshone the capital. Now her hair is withered, her expression numb. In her arms, she clutched a small, long cold body. That was her youngest son. When my dad saw this, his fierce eyes filled with tears. This man, who never wept on the battlefield, knelt on the ground and wailed. The last shred of hesitation in my heart vanished completely. I walked over. I opened the prison door myself. I came too late. I ordered Li Hu to arrest every cruel official who persecuted my Shin clan, and every royal relative, without exception. Bring them all here. I brought them before my surviving kin. Blood debts must be paid with blood. Inside the Imperial prison, screams echoed through the night. I led 1,000 personal guards into the empty hall of supreme harmony. The massive dragon pillars, the cold golden bricks. This was once the highest symbol of Great Yan's imperial power. The old emperor didn't flee. He wore a brand new dragon robe. Sitting alone on that lofty throne, he looked at me, then at my dad, whose expression was complicated. He let out a bitter laugh. What a scene of filial piety and fatherly love. I stepped up the marble steps, walking right before him. From my chest, I pulled out the long-dried, blackened imperial decree and threw it before him. Your Majesty, I've come to receive the decree. The old emperor stared at that decree, his eyes dazed, ignorant of the truth. Kings have always been like this. Beside my bed. How can I allow others to snore? The Shin family's merit overshadows the ruler. I had to be wary. Your fault is not just your suspicion and incompetent. I list his crimes. You suspect loyal officials and frame the virtuous, leaving the border empty. The people suffer. You trust sycophants, indulge in extravagance, making life unbearable for the people. Corpses litter the fields. For your pitiful bit of power, you don't hesitate to sacrifice your own son, your own subjects. A ruler like this, everyone should kill him. After hearing this, the old emperor instead burst into loud laughter. The laughter echoed in the empty hall, seeming utterly desolate. Well said, well said. He pointed at me, a mad glint flashing in his eyes. When you sit on this throne, you'll become crueler than I ever was. You'll kill everyone. I won't belie you. Never. I shook my head. The victor is king, the loser a bandit. I'll grant you your final dignity. I unstrapped a dagger from my waist and threw it in front of him. The sharp clang was especially piercing in the hall. The old emperor looked at the dagger on the ground, then looked at me. The madness on his face slowly faded, leaving only endless venom and reluctance. He picked up the dagger with trembling hands. Under my gaze, the old emperor reluctantly acted, slowly collapsing onto his seat. An era had ended. Third Prince Li Yan thought he was the final victor. He led all the civil and military officials in a grand procession to Taiha Hall to welcome me. His face bore just the right amount of grief and gratitude toward me. General Shin turned the tide, executed the traitor to the state. Your merit is for the nation. On behalf of all Great Yan's people, I thank General Shun. He fakes a kneeling gesture. Now the state cannot be without a ruler for a day. I believe General Shun should ascend the throne to establish a new dynasty. All officials echo in agreement. They shout, "Long live the king." Seeing I didn't object, Li Yan, a flicker of pride flashes in his eyes. He adds, if the general doesn't want the throne, I am willing to temporarily govern the state and appoint the general as regent with hereditary succession and shared fate with the state. He speaks with heartfelt sincerity, as if I were his closest ally. I smile in front of everyone. I pull out something else from my chest, a silk handkerchief, exactly the proof from my past life, the one proving his affair with the deposed crown princess. Third prince, I wave the handkerchief. This should be familiar to you, right? Li Yan's face turns instantly pale. I don't let him speak. Using my hand to eliminate the crown prince, using my troops to purge the court. Once my great task is done, then find any excuse to kill me for overshadowing the ruler and plotting treason, so you can rightfully ascend the throne. Li Yan, your scheme is really well thought out. With each word I say, Li Yan's face grows paler. The officials are in an uproar. They watch in disbelief. This third prince, always seen as benevolent. Li Yan tries to defend himself. Nonsense. This is slander. I don't give him a chance. Li Hu steps forward, a chop to his neck, knocks him unconscious. Sees him directly. Huyan Duo walks to my side, watching this dramatic scene. What do you plan to do next? 1 year later, I signed a new treaty with Huyan Lai at the Taiha Hall, with the Great Wall as the border. Never to invade. Open border markets. Exchange goods. Ushering in centuries of peace. My dad resigned from all his posts, laid down his arms and returned to farming. But he didn't go back to the capital. Instead, he stayed in the northern frontier. He said the sunset there was more magnificent than in the capital. He looked at the village with cooking smoke in the distance, and the cattle and sheep returning at dusk. Filled with emotion, he wrote me a letter. All my life, I was loyal to the emperor and country. In the end, it's less than your one rebellion that brought this peaceful world. He raised his wine cup, clinked it with me across the distance, and drank it all. To this peace, to you, my filial son. All the barriers between us vanished in that cup of his wine. Huyan Duo eventually stayed too. She took off her red battle robe but still looked valiant and spirited. She became my most capable assistant and my closest companion. One clear afternoon, I found that robe that changed my life. I lit it with my own hands. The flames rose, burying the foolishly loyal me from my past life. Years later, under my rule, Great Yan grew prosperous. The people lived in peace. The nation's strength gradually recovered. Lee, who is now my Imperial Guard General. One time, drunk, he asked me, "You hold the strongest army in the world. Why not conquer more territory?" I looked at the Great Wall in the distance, just smiled, transmigrated and reborn. Now, what I want isn't vast lands. I just want the people of Great Yan to eat their fill and sleep